Alrighty, we are learning Amud Yomi, Yoma Daf Samach Aleph Amud Aleph. We're on the top of the page. We are discussing doing things out of order. Which avodas can you do, or could, if they're done out of order, need to be redone, and which don't? So we had a machlekes of Yehuda and Rabbi Nechemia on Daf Samach. Rabbi Yehuda is of the opinion that any avodah which is done by Big Day Lavan in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, or that's a tzeirich pnim, if it's an avodah that's done outside, but it's for something that's done inside. So those cannot be done out of order. And if they're done, I mean, if you do something else before that, if you do it out of order, you got to do it again. It doesn't count. And Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Nechemia is of the opinion that not only those, but any avodah done by Big Day Lavan, whether it's an avodah done b'fnim or b'chutz, it needs to be done in order. Gevalik. So now we're discussing, here we are, top of the page. Ula says as follows. Amar Ula. Sa'ir sheshachatay koidem matan domoy shel par. If you shechted the seir lashem before doing the matna, giving the matanas of the dam. So let's just let's recall the seder ha'avodah. Okay? So it starts off with vidoy on the par of the Kohen Gadol. Then he goes and he does the geirulas of Lashem and Lazazel. Okay. Then he does a vidoy sheni on his par and he shechts it. Okay. Then he does the whole avodah with the keteris, bringing it inside, letting it burn. Then he goes and gets the dam hapar and sprinkles the dam hapar. After he sprinkles the dam hapar, then he goes and he does the shchita on the seir lashem. Could be he sends away the seir lazazel over there, but we're just talking about the dam. So he does a shchita on the seir lashem, and he does matanas bifnim, and then there's the matanas of the dam hapar and the dam asar on the pareiches, and then on the mizbeach hazov, and then he spills the rest onto the side of the mizbeach. Okay. So now the seir sheshachtu koydem matan dam shel par. You shechted the seir lashem before you did the matanas of the dam of the par. Okay, so it was one thing out of you should have done the matanas first and then shechted the seir. He shechted the seir before he did the matanas. Like asav like klum. Cigar nishvert. You gonna have to now sprinkle the dam and then shech the new seir. Okay. Tanan, 1 second. Our Mishnah doesn't seem to say that. The Mishnah says hiktim dam asar l'dam hapar. If you sprinkle the dam of the sayir before the dam hapar, so it just says yachzav v'yazim dam asar. Acher dam hapar, just go and shech the dam asar. Go and sprinkle the dam of sayir again. After you, meaning you did sayir par, you should have done par sayir. So it says, okay, so then just do sayir again, and then it'll be in order par sayir. So that's what it tells you to do. Well, 1 second. If Ula's din is true, that if you shech the seir before you sprinkle you do the matanas of the par, it doesn't work. So then what should the Mishnah say? It should say, Yachzer v'yishchayt mi ba'ilei. You got to go now and shech the seir again, and then sprinkle the dam of the seir. Meaning you have to be mazah the dam apar. Now go shech the seir and sprinkle the dam of the seir. If you sprinkle the dam of the seir, that means you did the shechita out of order. So that's what the Mishnah should have said, but it doesn't. Targum Ula explains the Mishnah, the matanas shebeheichal. Oh, you thought the Mishnah was talking about the matanas in the Kodesh HaKadoshim? No. That you did perfectly. That was all good. Now you started doing the matanas on the pareiches, but instead of doing the par first, you did the sayir first. Oh, so then just go now, after you do the par, do the sayir. That this teaching of Ula is not talking about the matanas in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, it's talking about the matanas on the pareiches. Geschmack. Okay. The Mishnah said that if things are done, if the items are done out of order, you got to make sure they're done in order. Okay. Tan Rabbanon, we learned in the Brayso, so we're going to dash in a pasuk. Pasuk says, "V'chiper es mikdash hakodesh." Let's just read the whole pasuk first. Take a look on the side of the Torah are v'chiper es mikdash hakodesh ve'es oil ma'id ve'es hamizbeach yichaper v'al kehanim v'al kol ha'akol yichaper. It's a little. It says you're going to do a kapara. You're going to be means you're going to do the hazayis in the mikdash hakodesh and the oil ma'id and on the mizbeach yichaper a little tone, and for the kehanim for the whole kahal yichaper a little tone. So the Gemara dashes v'chiper as mikdash hakodesh zeh lefnai v'lefnim. That's talking about the hazah is done in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Oyel Moyed, and it means that it's mechaper. This v'kiper, what are you being mechaper for with that hazah? So Rashi tells us the second skinny line in Rashi zeh lefnai v'lefnim kiper b'damim halalu al tuma she'ira lefnai v'lefnim. Right? I don't know how the heck that happened. I'll be honest with you. Right? I mean, how are you going to have a guy coming in Betuma into the Kodesh HaKadoshim? Right? I don't know how he got through all that security. But if someone Tameh came into the Kodesh HaKadoshim, but it wasn't Stam he came in, he forgot that he was Tameh. That's really what happened. Im nichnas adam sham betuma ve'in ba yediyah b'seif. Avol havi yediyah betchila. So he knew that he was once Tameh. Then he forgot and he went into the Kodesh HaKadoshim. So then I guess it must have been happening with the Kohen Gadol somehow. Even who else going to the Kodesh HaKadoshim? So last Yom Kippur he went in with Tumah, and then he only realized later. He found out later, or maybe he never found out. So now that Kohen Gadol is going in again, he's going to be machaper on that Tumah.
It doesn't sound that way. I mean, I'm happy.
But I'm just trying to make up a case.
But Rashi's
you want to give a different case?
It just sounds like it's
good,
not.
You want to give a case like that? You could. I walked into Kodesh HaKadoshim b'tumah. Fine. I'm just trying to make it a little bit more, palatable or plausible. I was using my imagination. Diak and Rashi doesn't have to be the Kohen Gadol. It could be anybody, which is true. Okay. Now that is the Chibur Mikdash Hakodesh. Zelach Na'ev Lifnim. Oihel Moyed. What kapar is the oil ma'id? That's referring to the tumah, that any tumah that happens in the heichel. So the hazayas on the pareches are mechaper on that tumah. Let me just finish the drasha and I'll get to your question, please. Then mizbeach kemashmoi. So the hazah is done on the mizbeach as for a tumah that happens to a person on the mizbeach. Okay. Yechaper elu azaris, that's referring to any of the azaris. So someone came in like Hanam Kamashman, and then kahol elu Yisrael Yechaper elu halavim hush v'kulim lekapara achas v'kulim mischapern b'seir hamishtalech b'shar averis. When it comes to all other averis, not for tumah, so all of them will have a kapara with the seir mishtalech. Divrei Yehuda. We'll continue in a moment. Yes.
Maybe it's not relevant. I was just wondering, what's the person over for going in lifnai v'lifnim?
I think it's a chiv meisa b'dei if you go on Shalei Tzerich. That means even if the Kohen Gadol went in with a puzzle like his Keteris' puzzle or something like that.
Because he can only go in Kippur, so I'm saying.
And even if the Kohen Gadol went in on Yom Kippur, but it was a puzzle, that means he went in Shalei Tzerich, so then there's the Yoma, as the pasuk says. So that's a chiv meisa b'dei shemayim, I think. Okay. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. So that's how Rabbi Yehuda dashes the pasuk. Shimon Aimer Keshem Shedam Hasayer Hanasa Bifnim, just like the dam that's of the sayer that is done in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Mechaper al Yisrael b'tumas mikdash u'kedashav kach dam hapar mechaper al kehanim b'tumas mikdash u'kedashav. So just like the sayer is going to be mechaper on tumas mikdash u'kedashav, so too does the par mechaper for the kehanim, because the power was brought on behalf of the Kohen Gadol and the Kehanim. Ukashem shevidu shel ser mishtalech mechaper al Yisrael b'shar averes kach vidu shel par mechaper al Kehanim b'shar averes. So he says no, the ser mishtalech works for Klal Yisrael, and the par of the Kohen Gadol works for the Kehanim. Okay, Tanraban. The chila mechaper es hakodesh. This pasuk we'll just read on the side. Pasuk v'chila mechaper es hakodesh v'es olmayid es hamizbech v'hikrev es sayir hachai. So when the Kohen Gadol were to finish doing the avodah in the kodesh and the olmayid and the mizbeach, so then he shechts the sayir. Then the sayir hachai gets sent la'azazel. Says the Gemara. That's talking about finishing the hazayas in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. The Oyel Moed Zeichel, that's talking about the hazayas on the Peroiches. Mizbeach Kimashmoye, that's the hazayas on the Mizbeach. Melamed Shekulon Kapara. I'm sorry. Melamed Shekulon Kapara Rifnei Atzman. Each one is an individual kapara. What does that mean? It's individual. That's what we're going to see in a second. What that means is that they're not totally on each other. So if the blood spilled, if you lost the blood, if it spilled out, you don't have to go back and start fresh. You can continue from where you were up to, because each one is an individual kapara. Mikan Amru. From here they said, Nasan mikzas matanis shabifnim. Now I'm just giving you a heads up. The Gemara is going to repeat itself. It's going to sound like the same thing 3 times, but it's just referring to different areas. It's going through the same thing, but one in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, on the Pereches, and then on the Mizbeach. So Nasan mikzas matanis shabifnim. If you did some of the matanis, you did some, again, the word matana, it means gifts. It's talking about the hazon, when you sprinkle the dam, wherever you're putting the dam. Anytime you're putting dam somewhere, it's called a matana. Nasan mikzas matana shebifnim v'nishbach hadam. If you did some of the matanos in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, and then the blood spilled, yavi dam acher v'yaschel betchila b'matana shebifnim. So then you got to start again. So let's say you're up to, you did achaz lamala and you did shalish lamata, and then the dam spilled. So you got to start again from the beginning. Rabbi Elazar Reb Shimon, you continue from where you left off. I'm just thinking about, imagine, I just think
is
about
that
this scenario.
here, by the way?
I'm sorry?
It's like a lot of the matanos are two, which are really 4.
Not here. We're talking about Yom Kippur. Yom
Kippur is
achas lamala v'sheva lamata.
Okay.
That's bifnim, and that's on the pereches, and then on the mizbeach hazav, it was on all 4 corners and on the top. Okay. Now, can we just think about the scenario here for a minute? The Kohen Gadol's in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. I mean, think about spilling wine on Friday night at the. Okay, you know what I mean? You bring another wine. I don't know. Even if you spilled it after Kiddush. Here, he's in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, right? He's doing the hazayas, and he drops the bucket. He drops the kli.
I can imagine that.
Mom, can you imagine? In the guy, he dropped it. So now he's got to go. It's like he's got to go back out. And he's got to start again. All right, guys, cut, and then we got to roll it, roll it from the top. Whew, that would be stressful. All right, Rebbe Lazar. So that's what. Okay. So machlokes Tanakam and Rebbe Lazar B'Shimon. Do you have to start from the beginning of the set you were in the middle of, or you can continue from where you were up to? Okay. Good. Now let's talk about Gomer Esamatan Shebifnim V'Nishbach Hadam. What happens if you finished the matanas in the Kodesh HaKadoshim and then the blood spilled? So you don't have to go back and do the matanas in the Kodesh HaKadoshim again with the dam from the new dam. You continue from where you left off. But here with the matana shebeichel, nasa miktas matana shebeichel v'nishbech adam yavidam acher v'yaschel betchila beheichel. Tanakama says again, if you're doing the hazayis on the Pareches, and you spilled out the blood in the middle, so you got to go back and start again from the matanas and the heichel. You don't have to go back to the Kodesh HaKadoshim. This is just in the heichel. You continue from where you left off. Now you're going to the mizbeach, and the dam spilled. So you start again by the mizbeach. If you were doing the matanas on the mizbeach and then the dam spilled, the Tanakam Shita, Rebbe Elazar Reb Shimon Aimim, Mimakam Shepasak, Hu Maskil. You continue from where you left off. Gomer matana shebimizbeach. So he's like, I finished everything. Baruch Hashem. No, not so fast. You still had to pour the rest of the dam onto the Yisrael of the Mizbeach. V'nishbach hadam, but it spilled before you got there. Divrei hakol lo ma'akvi. Everybody agrees that the shiraim is not ma'akiv. You don't have to shecht another animal to just spill the dam onto the Yisrael. Okay. Great. Where are they coming from? Amr Rabbi Yochanan v'shneim mikra echad darshu. They both darshed in the same pasuk. Pasuk says, over on to the right, v'chibra Aaron al karnais achas bashana midam chatas hakipurim achas bashana yichaper Allah v'lderi seichem kodesh kadashim hu lashem. So we dash midam chatas hakipurim achas bashana. From the dam of the chatas of Yom Kippur once a year. So what do we see there? Reb Meir Savar, that's the Tanakama. Chatas achas amarti lecha v'loi shtei chatos. It's only one chatas. The kapara, whatever kapara you're doing, has to come from the same chatas. You can't divide a kapara. Remember, we already darshan that each set of hazais is an individual kapara. But says Reb Meir, but you can't split up a kapara. Chatas achas, he's darshaning. Midam chatas akipurim achas bashana, it's got to be chatas achas. V'lo shtei chatos. Each set of kaparas need to be from the same animal. Reb Elazar Shimon Savri, chitoi echad amarti lecha, v'lo shnei chituyin. Chitoi is a lashon of hazah. To repeat, hazah chitoi. So one chitoi. I mean, it's got to be a complete set. You can't have shtei chituya if you're going to do it from two different animals. If you're going to do it from, if it's chitoi achas, you only do one set. That's what it is. Right? You only do one set. You don't do two sets. So if you're in the middle, you just continue from where you left off. You only do it one time. You don't do it more than one time. Chitoi achas. And therefore, even though you spilled the blood, it's going to be from two different animals, but it's only chitui achas. You can do one set. That's it. So wherever you left off, that's where you continue. Tanya. Okay. Amar li. I'm sorry. Amar Rebbe. Li chalak Reb Yaakov Belugan. Now, let's just review briefly the Seder of the Mitzera. The Taharas of Mitzera, the Mitzera would bring 3 karbanas, an Asham, a Chatas, and an Eila. And then from the dam of the, I don't remember which one of them, so there'd be 2 Kahanim would do a Kabbalah Saddam, one of them in a Kli and one of them in his hand, in his left hand. And then the one who got the blood in his left hand would go over to the Mitzera, and the Mitzera would stick his head, right hand and right foot into the Azara, and the Kohen would take with his right finger and put it on to his ear and his thumb and his toe. Okay? Then they would get a loig of shemen, and the Kohen, I think he did some hazayas with it. Maybe he did hazayas with the leg of shemen towards the parechas. I hope I got this right. And then they would take from the shemen and pour it into the palm, and then the Kohen would do a matana, would do the same thing onto the ear and the fingers and the toe of that mitzvah again with that leg of shemen. Okay, I hope I got that right. Let's see. Okay, so now what Rebbe is saying, Li Chilak Reb Yaakov Belugan, he's saying that Yom Kippur and Mitzera are not similar. And therefore, even though by Yom Kippur you can use, there was a machlokes between Reb Elazar Reb Shimon and the Tanakama, when it comes to Mitzera, there's no machlokes. So there's a chilik. He was chilik. Rabbi Yaakov Belugan was saying that the Lugan are different than Yom Kippur. And right, the loy nachluku Reb Meir Reb Elazar Reb Shimon b'vedes hachaluka is by sheva hazay sheva v'nim matam b'hinas v'le'amrim b'makam shepasak misham hu maschil t'chsev le'echad shem and le'echad amarti l'cha li'esak apar by v'le'shnei Lugan. So everybody agrees that it's got to be with the same leg of Shem. Whatever you're going to be doing, it's got to be with the same leg. That means even Rebbe Lazar and Rebbe Shimon would agree that you do not continue from where you left off. You got to go back to the beginning. Okay, that's what the Gemara is. Amar Rebbe Li Chilek Reb Yaakov Belugin is saying that when it comes to the Mitzvah, everybody agrees you need one leg. Shemin, if it's supposed, you got to get another leg and start again. Okay, in fact, the Marvel, is that true? Vatanya. No, mixas matanas shebifnim. If you did some of the matanas, it wasn't in the Kodesh HaKodashim, but it was towards the Parechas, 7 times towards the Parechas. V'nishbach haleg, then a leg spilled out. You have a leg acher. You got to bring another leg. V'yaschel b'tchila b'matanas shebeichel, and you got to start again. Not true. You can continue from where you left off. If you finish the matanis in the heichal and then the leg spilled out, you got to start again with the okay, I guess you don't have to go back to the heichal again, but you got to do the matanis of the behinis again. You got to bring another leg. You got to start again with the. You got to start from the beginning, and on that, you do not have to start again from the beginning. The matanas on the resh, because after they had the rest of the oil that was in the leg, they'd pour over the head of the mitzera. So that was not ma'akiv. Okay. So what do you see from here? That Rebbe Elazar and Shimon do argue the same way they argue when it comes to Yom Kippur. So Mar says, Ema, so we have to change what Rebbe said. Ema li shona Rebbe Yaakov Belugin. Rebbe Yaakov taught that it was the same machlekes when it came to the Lugin. Okay. Amar Mar. Matanas haresh in ma'akvas. So you just taught us, we're going to go through some halachas in Mitzvah now. We'll just start with with this one. Matanas haresh. So we said that the noisa, whatever was left over from the leg Hashemin, was put onto the head of the mitzvah. And if it spilled before you did that, you do not have to bring another leg of Shemin. It's not ma'akiv. My time, why not? I got to be my first option. The pasuk says v'hanoiser min hashemin. It says whatever is left over from the shemen, but this is not going to be left over. The Torah calls it shirayim. So I don't know if the drush is from the fact that this is not shirayim because you didn't do anything else with it, or just because it's called nicer. It's like not chashuv. I'm not sure exactly how to say what the pshat is, but it says v'hanoiser min hashem. El me'ata, if that's the truth, then when it says v'hanoiser, if it's just the lashon of nicer, so what about when it says v'hanoiser min hamincha? Hachanami d'lei ma'akvi. If you would say, meaning, you know how mincha works? You take a kaimitz, everything that's left from the kaimitz is called the noiser. It's called v'hanaiser min mincha. Now, we learned already that the halacha is that all of the shirayim are, if you're missing any part of that shirayim, you can't bring the kaimitz. So if that got lost, that's not like v'hanaiser, big deal. Yeah, but the Torah calls it nicer, so like if it's called nicer, you're telling me since it's called nicer, then we don't really care about it. It's not ma'akiv. It's not true when it comes to the mincha, it's called nicer, and we do care about it. Mar says Shani Asa, that's different. Tichsiv umeiser v'hanaiser. When it's talking about the shemen, it uses the lashon twice. So it's like the shirayim of the shirayim. So that's something that wouldn't be ma'akiv. But the shirayim, the regular naisaris of the mincha would be ma'akiv. All right. Thanks for sticking around.